Hi, everybody. I'm gonna get a nice level here. Okay. Looks a bit better. Check. Ha. Hua. Ho. Check. P. P. T. Toast. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Niall from Idol Creations. Today, I'm going to do what I hope will be the first of many tutorials in Reason, Logic, Sibelius, Audacity, the swath of other programs. Today we're going to be focusing in Reason. I wanted to talk about granular synthesis today. Now, if you've looked at Reason before, you'll probably recognize the term granular synthesis, and you'll think of the Malstrom. It's a beast of the synthesizer. Now, for comparison, I'm going to pull up a subtractor too. So, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to be initializing the patches, and that sets everything to 0. So right now, I've got Vesper in here, and might need to create. No, we're fine. There we go. So we got some basic patches. It's a nice choir sound here, and we got a nice bass. But these are all nice, but sometimes you want something a bit more, not original, but you want to play with things a bit more, get something a bit more personalized. So we're going to right click on the devices and hit reset device. If you're in an older version of Reason, it'll say initialize patch, which is really the way it should be said, but that's not the way it is. So when you initialize the patch, in the Malstrom, it'll set you up for just a simple sine wave, and in the subtractor, it'll give you a sawtooth. Now, sorry for that bump there. I have the microphone stand way close to me, so take a while to get used to. But the subtractor basically models some of the oldest types of sound synthesis. Now, you can see it gives you a number of different waveforms here, and you get up into 5+. These are complex waveforms. Usually they're combinations of different sine waves. Combinations that you can literally create with this same synth by playing with the phase, things like that. I'm not going to do that today. But in the older synthesizer, you basically have very simple types of waves that you can build things out of. Just for an example, one of the most basic types of sound synthesis, is to start with a basic sine wave. I'm going to start with, a halfway mix. You add another, you could do a sine wave. I like using triangle in this situation. And you can drop it down an octave. I like using subtractive synthesis out of either a sine wave, or I'll take a triangle and subtract a sine out of the triangle. So there's lots of ways you can just play around with it. A lot of the times you don't want to make the biggest adjustments. That doesn't sound, you can use it somehow, but it doesn't sound nearly as good as just just a few ticks of frequency modulation. But I digress. So this is an older way of synthesizing. But later, as people started to use tape and started to make little tiny micro tape loops, they were able to use more complex sounds and waveforms as the base for their synth that they were creating. So, enter what eventually became the Malstrom grain table synth. So, here you notice you have wave. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's like 10 different waves, basic waves that you can build things out of. Notice there's also a bunch of wind. There's voice, synth, percussion, miscellaneous, guitar, effects, and bass. And the reason they're all categorized like this is that not grain table synth, but granular synthesis, it takes any sound file you could want to sample or reproduce on a keyboard, and you take a little tiny, let me adjust the microphone. You take a tiny segment of that sound. Oh geez, oh Lord. You take a tiny microscopic segment of that sound, you slice it out, and you use that instead of, say, a sine wave, or a triangle wave, a sawtooth. And essentially you can I guess encapsulate, you can create a representation of an instant in time from the sound of maybe a choir or like a Tibetan monk. So these ones change in the sound changes over time, but you slow down the motion all the way and you get that specific instant in the sample, excuse me. And using the index, you can scroll through. And I can start at any point in that sound. Now, this ability is actually a perk of using the Malstrom granular synth. In the future, I'd like to be able to make my own patches for this, but that'll require some further research. Pretty sure it's probably not so hard. Just don't know the software that I'd need to export those files. But something for another day. So that's all fine and dandy. That's what granular synthesis is. And we got it. Okay. So now we come to, I guess you could say, my Instagram post from a couple of days ago. Recently, I've been going and finding a lot of sounds online to manipulate. And over the past while, I guess, I was pretty interested in the waveforms that I was finding. And I personally go to freesound.org. They very clearly label the license status of the sound you're listening to. It give you all the information you could possibly need to go about your sampling legally and efficiently. So freesound.org, this is not a paid endorsement. This is a personal preference. So, I'm going to just search for some waveforms. Waveform. We got some interesting things here. A lot of these might not be ideal for what we're doing, but let's just find one. It's interesting. Okay. That's an attribution license. What I actually do is I'll search whatever I'm looking for, filter by CC0. Let's take this one. That's one I was looking at recently and I wanted to look at. It's kind of cool. It's got a bit of a bias. I'd like to manipulate these quarter signs and quarter circles. That'll take a bit more time than I have right now in this tutorial. I'm not even sure how long this is going now. Let's see. Oh, would you look at that? Okay, let's go. Let's find some sounds. And this one. This is the one that I was working with in the Instagram. Okay, just sign in. Let's get that one. We'll get that one. And we'll get this one. Cool. So, we're downloading our sounds, and they are nearly here. Okay, so the way we are going to do this today is we are going to use the NNXT. Now, the difference between using the Malstrom and using the NNXT is it is more difficult to isolate a specific, well, it's more difficult to have a larger segment of the sound and be able to scrub through it with higher precision, or with the precision that I'd like to. So the way I'm going to show you guys today is one way where you can isolate a part of the sound that you've already decided that you want, or if you want to use like one single cycle of a waveform and turn that into a sound, this is how you could do that. So, well, as I said before, we were initializing our patches with the previous ones, and for our sake here, we're going to do the same. Now, there was a grand piano here before. You would have seen there's bars going down here. Each one of those bars is a note from an actual piano that was played at a certain pitch range. And as it goes up, those are mapped to the next set of keys going up, and so on and so forth as you go up. It's a pretty exhausting process, and one that I've undertaken only a few times. All right. Let's go with that saw one. That one was kind of interesting. So 1, 2, 3, 8, 11. Oh geez. Oh, that's right. I reorganized all that. Oh man. All right. So we pulled it in. This one is going to be quite straightforward. Oh, this isn't the one I wanted to use, but it's okay. So, one of the key things about this is you are going to need to find a perfect loop point. If you do not, and listen to me carefully, if you do not find a perfect loop point, you could potentially damage your speakers. So if you skipped over this section, that is not my fault. If you do not find a perfect loop point, you can severely damage your speakers. This point right here, where this line or these two lines are below the center line, the zero crossing there, those are points at which the fabric or the nylon or whatever kind of material your speakers use, that is when the magnet is pushing that material out, or in this case, sucking it in and creating the potential for sound, which is created in this jump here. Now, these jumps are happening over a period of time. But if you do not create a perfect loop point and you create a signal that requires the speakers to jump from, say, this point to like up here in a matter of 0 seconds and 0 milliseconds, that damages speakers. So please do not do that. And if you do it, I'm sorry, that is your cross to bear. Now, having said that, all of you who heard that, all of you know better now. So we are going to go ahead and find the perfect loop point. Now, in order to do that, it's very simple. A lot of you are probably onto it already. This point in time, the one I was just talking about, that is very dangerous, it can be used correctly. You'll obviously notice that this point is arrived at over and over again throughout this sample. So what you're going to want to do is get down really small. You don't necessarily have to use the whole thing. I'd like a bit of variation in the sound. So you're basically just going to want to crop it to that point. So here's hoping to God, because Reason doesn't have as fine measurement tools as Audacity for measuring how far it is away from the zero crossing. I'm hoping to God that this point that I just cropped there and this point are close enough to not create a click. And that is all that we're trying to avoid here. That is the only thing. We do not want to click. Okay. So there might be a bit of a time discrepancy between the end of over here and the start of this, but we'll see how it sounds. I'm gonna play this through. That's our sound. And for the purposes of showing you granular synthesis, I'm gonna shorten this one down too. Now, hopefully if we did it right, it should loop back fairly smoothly, which it is. It's a very slightly discernible gap, which I will remove now. Let's get in a bit closer here. You want to get down really small. It might seem tedious, but it's worth it. It's my belief that subconsciously audible things make a difference to how lay people will perceive a song or an instrument. So if people aren't really thinking about it and trying to justify the sound in their mind, they're going at face value. It's not the greatest loop point. I think I liked it better before. Now, I'm not sure I don't know if you guys have looked at this before, but you also have the reverse looping, which is good for certain situations, not this situation, which you can hear. Nah, can't have that. There's all sorts of things you could do too. You know, reverse it. It's not the greatest difference. But in the room right now, it's I do think that this is a bit smoother on the ears, possibly. So, that is one of the ways you can do it. You can just select the sound, and just have it go. But, there's another way you can do it. That is, you can get really small. And if you can capture one of these, just one of these cycles at the right point, you don't have to worry about hearing it switch back, because it'll always be switching back, and that'll end up being part of the sound. It's already a very harsh sound. So, as I do this, we're just going to get that. I'll leave like a millisecond of breathing space. Oh, excuse me. Hope you didn't hear my tummy rumble. I just ate. It shouldn't be rumbling. Okay. I'm gonna hit crop. And that's our waveform now. And we have a single sawtooth with a slight positive bias. As you can see, it's cutting off there. Once you exit this window, you can use this in your songs. In my opinion, it sounds a lot thicker and a lot more organic than using a pre-existing patch to make that. Yeah, there's not much more to say about that. But I guess to each their own. I was gonna reset the device by instinct. I'll do it anyway. I'll show you. Here's the sawtooth here. I have to hook it up. That's a thing. That's a thing to do in Reason. Let's get low. This sounds good. This just doesn't have punch to it. Let's get another one going. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. You could do that. That sounds cool. But you know what? You can also do this. You can duplicate it. Can you do it that way? Oh, I'm going to get another one in here. Get another one. Oh, geez. Oh, man. This might sound a little odd until I get it right. Okay, let's put this one up a few tones. 14. And down 14. You can get the same thing. I'm like, what the heck? You can do it. You can do it. That sounds great. You filter it out. Just filter her out, bud. Just like what? Come on. How does that not sound great? Okay, anyway. I can see I'm clipping over here. Oh man, I should have had that in a separate window where I could see it. Okay, I'm gonna quiet down a little bit for you. Okay. Now, let's do a couple other ones. Not all of them are going to be that easy, as I will show you in the third example. But second example. Let me leave that one there. Maybe we'll make like a little symphony of these at the end. That would be a kind of cool thing. At the end of all of them, you make like a little cool song with all the things that we used. Yeah, I'll do that. Maybe it's okay that these are long. Let me know what you guys think. Where's this one that I'm looking for? Impulse waveform 134062. That's the one. I was on it. That's the other thing about that site too, is it downloads it, or when you download it, it gives you all the information you need. It gives you a code that you can look it up in on your computer. It's just, yeah, it's great. Those codes are especially useful when you're transferring files and you have your sample library, but you don't have your samples self-contained in your project file. You just bring it over, and as long as you know where all of your samples are on a flash disk or something, when you go to open the project file, it says, "Oh, we can't find the file." It'll give you the name of the file, and it's just like, "Oh, we can't find 134062," and normally that would be a problem. But now, since all of them have those codes in it, you're just like, okay, no problem. I searched for 134062, I found it, and now everything's good. And you did it in like 2 minutes. Like some people have to spend hours finding all of the files that weren't self-contained. Anyway, that's another that's another tutorial for another day. So let's go back into our sample edit. So this is a cool one. Hey? Now, like I was saying before, you have to watch out. You must watch out that you get perfect loop points. You must do this, and if you're looking closely, you'll notice that we have a bit of a problem here. What is our problem? Pause the video and please try to find the problem. Did you find it? You look at the beginning of our sample. We are directly on the zero crossing, but at the end, we are not on the zero crossing. This is the problem. This is not acceptable. And we are also in the predicament that when it does cross the zero crossing at the end, it's not going to create a satisfying transition between this angle and this flat angle. Like, that doesn't work. So you have to find the perfect loop point. Where is our perfect loop point? Well, I'll show you where the perfect loop point is. There are actually multiple. Let's go here. You could go there. You could go like that. You could go like this. Let's just use a single cycle from here. Yeah. It was a little harsh, but see, sometimes if you're looking at it in that view, you can overthink it. So this is the one I'm going to be using next. It's a sound from Sorchin. I'm not going to try. Thank you, Sorchin. Oh, they say we develop an iPhone app that performs musical analysis on recorded audio from the iPhone. Our app implementation makes use of the audio queue service to receive raw audio buffers from the audio queue callback. In the first version of our app, we had the problem of too much clipping on the recording, which degrades the accuracy of our analysis. We also suspected that the noise-canceling algorithm in the iPhone 5 produced the distorted sound, which is not very noticeable by the human ear, but distorted enough to affect our sensitive algorithm. So they go on to say that this is the waveform that they introduced to solve the problem, and yeah, so I took it because why not? Look at it. That's okay, cool. So I'm just punching back in because in the previous take, I used the wave file that I was using in the when I was previously editing the waveform. So yeah, I'm just punching back in to also give you a bit more detail on Audacity. I don't use it that much even, but it's one of those programs you can't forget about because you'll need it at some point. This is an OGG Vorbis file, actually, which can't be opened in Logic or Reason, for that matter. So, yeah, here we go. This is the initial waveform that piqued my interest in this type of synthesis. But I'm going to go after this one right now. I already have a slice of this one, which is fairly simple to understand where you would chop it. I'll just demonstrate quick. So here, it's actually nicely flush with the zero crossing at the beginning, and you're gonna want to get like the compression and the refraction of the wave as it goes out and back in for a shorter period, for a lower amplitude. And then once it looks like it's getting just asymptotically close. Actually, it's darn close. Alright, we should normalize this. So here, we're just under 0.05. I guess decibels, yeah. They don't, they have it linear. I prefer it logarithmic. But, okay. So we're just under 0.05. So I want to get over here. This is the waveform that I end up using for the first one that I show in Reason in the next scene. It's just like a little cool event at the end of that thing that ended up working. So now I'm just gonna scroll along and use the passing of it along that area to find a nice long Well, actually, that's right, not that long. I'm actually gonna go for right as it starts to get flush, right there. That should be nice. Should work. Okay. So drop like a marker, I guess. Drop the marker, and then you'll go up here to the magnifier, snap back, and in this regard you can fine tune in Reason, and at that small of an interval, that amount of a change will be more or less negligible. Some square and sawtooth waves can be pretty harsh, so the speakers are designed to handle it. It's just it's large pops, but still you do want to keep it within like a few, like within 1 decibel of, within half a decibel of amplitude, like really fine, like yeah. Basically, like be kind of paranoid about it. Just not to the point where it takes longer than it needs to. Let's just listen to it in here. And again, nothing right now. So, what we did before, or what I did off camera. Actually, what I also did was I clipped this from here to here. I think I'm gonna leave it for now. Just for the sake of seeing it in here, because I had another recording of the file that I used for this. Just select the whole thing and change the speed, basically. I always want to look for a double speed, like a hit button, it exactly doubles it, but it's okay. 2. Actually, it's arbitrary, so let's go like 3 point. So let's loop that. See how long it takes us to get to a bassy kind of frequency. Oops. Oh boy. Man, shift space. It sounds like a kick drum. But, so we got to do that again. Should be able to repeat. So we're getting up. We're getting a little bit faster. We gotta really make there. Just hit A to select all, simply without having to highlight it. Shift space, and it's starting to sound like a tone. Do that. Repeat that change speed again. It's starting to sound like a sign. It's like a sign with some. So excuse me. It's a sawtooth. It's a saw with some sign in there. But still some like subtractive harmonics in there. So yeah, that's how you prepare a longer waveform or something that's just not ideal for granular synthesis, and make it work. So you basically, like I said, you just go export from here, and you're gonna want to export two different files, one that's slower and one that's faster. Because the NNXT, it can extend, it can pitch it up and down in multiple directions, or quite a bit in both directions. However, it does have a limit as to how high it can go. So you're gonna want to have two, and you'll have to line them up, tune them so that they're flush with each other. And yeah, you'll see me do it a bit later. All right. And we go back to reason. It's down here. Now, road from here on is quite simple. I just need to remember what I called it. I think I called it weird waveform. And it's on the desktop. The weird waveform tutorial. So, we got it in the program. Here it is. Let's see how it sounds. It sounds interesting. Okay. And there it is. Excuse my excitement. I didn't expect that to sound that good. Oh man, you guys just witnessed the inception of the next track. Woo. That's not even any filtering yet, guys. Oh man, I'm so glad you were here with me to discover this. Oh wow. Oh wow, I'm very happy with that. Oh, I like that. Just let me jam with this for a second. Bach. Yeah. That's how you do it. That's how you do. This has been a granular synthesis tutorial in Reason using the NNXT sampler. I was going to pull up the picture of the waveform again, but no, just to recap, I just want everybody to remember that you can do this with any sound you like. Remember, this came from possibly one of the least likely places. Before, I'm just going to do this one as well at the end for you guys. But that sound came from this weird sound right at the end. That comes from this little blip here. So, like, you could take this part. No, you can't make a loop out of that. You could take this part. What I did at first was I took this part. As I have another file of that sound. And let's just make one more NNXT. And I don't know if I'll start the compositions in this episode because we are already going on about an hour. Oh man, I've been sitting here talking to myself for an hour. Oh wow, this is bad. This is what my life has become. You guys better watch, and you better hit the subscribe button, and also hit the like button if you enjoyed this tutorial and if you learned something from it. So let's go to the desktop on Weird Wave 2. Let's hear how this one sounds. Doesn't sound very good. And that's because I forgot to do the thing that I was supposed to do for that one. Now, let's go do that. Jeez. You know what? There it is right there. There's a double speed there. I'm just going to get that one. There. Okay, these are the ones I edited before. It's the same thing. Trust me, guys. You saw it before. It's the same thing. You see? And I left. I guess I trimmed this one out in post. That could be a... Again, it's probably being overthought. There you go. This one doesn't really work well as in harmony because it's such a long file, really, is what the problem is. What file did I use that in? Because I connected this one and the double. Let's just try to do it. Okay. Let's loop this one. The double is a little bit grainy because it's so fast, but like whatever. So this is how you tune an NNXT. So if you get them overlapping like that, you can get some really cool sounds. But remember, you have to tune them. So you have to get it so that the normal note, the unpitched note, when you're not playing it on the keyboard, just that note, you have to get it so that its center position pertaining to where it's mapped on the keyboard ends up being flush with the lower one, with the lower sample, so that it lines up. Like if I were to just get rid of this sound completely. There's the bass one. That's the normal one. And then untuned, you bring this one back in and you're like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's not what you want. Let's be realistic. It's not, you weren't, nobody was looking for that. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the same. So I'm just hitting single notes here, but it sounds like an orchestra. So yeah, this has been a special Odd Creations granular synthesis tutorial. And now okay, this is how I'm going to do it. And now I'm just going to start writing something for about 15 minutes. Maybe a bit less. I'm going to put the microphone off to the side and you'll be able to hear what's going on in here. All right. What did we make today? So we have that one. We have that one. We have that one. We have that one. This is gonna be. I'm not. I've thought these too much today to really make a symphony out of it. Okay. So, we've filled up all of our tracks. We have used all of our granularly synthesized synthesizers. And I think we're gonna call it quits for the day. Little quick house style drum beat sketch thing. Feel free to sample it. I'm probably not going to use this for anything. And yes, we are going on two hours. Nah. Okay, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something about this. I think sometimes it starts from 1 hour. All right. This has been a not so interactive granular synthesis tutorial for use in Reason using the NNXT sampler. Other programs used for this were Audacity, just to tailor our waveforms and get them ready for synthesis, and Logic Pro, through which I've been recording the audio for this, because quite frankly, I don't trust a QuickTime player to record this at full fidelity. And I'll also be throwing some EQ on my voice as well, because this is the first internet tutorial I've ever made, and I don't like it. So, that said, I'd like to thank everybody who's still watching for sticking around. I really do hope you learned something from this tutorial. When I was, it was just last month, I stumbled across these waveforms, just like I showed you today on freesound.org. I had no idea how you'd go about it, and I I found a fairly simple tutorial from Propellerhead on YouTube. It's really informative. He did it showed me how I would go about doing it the way I'd like to do it. But it's a little specified, and I think it kind of watered it down into a way that would be easily understood by everybody. Leave a comment if there's something that I missed, or if there's something that you'd like to hear in future videos, even. Please let me know. This is the very first episode of these tutorials, and I'm hoping to do many more to come. I have a lot of topics I'd love to cover. Even making this, there were a lot of things I wanted to go into, but I just couldn't for the time being. Head on over to Facebook. Check out our labels page, Audile Creations. That's AUDILE Creations. All of our social media are linked below. You can find the AnalogStyle Music Project on Spotify and iTunes. That's AnalogStyle, all one word. ANALOG style, all one word. Once again, on iTunes and Spotify. And most important for this video, hit subscribe. If you like this tutorial, there's a lot more to come. I've been using Reason for, I guess, going on maybe about 5 years now. Been using Sibelius for more than that. I'm probably going on 8 to 10 years now. Same with Logic. So there are a lot of interesting workarounds and a lot of important concepts, like the concepts behind busing and sidechaining, that are really important. They can really change your music, but they're all also often watered down a lot. And it is really effective at leading beginners down paths that are unnecessary to linger on. So with that said, excuse the bump. So with that said, perhaps the next video is going to be on sidechaining and busting. Let me know what you guys want to know about. There's a lot of these things are a lot simpler, but I really encourage that you go to freesound.org, look for your own waveforms to test this out in. It's great to, like I was doing here, going through other people's sounds and looking for little bits that you could use. But don't stop looking. Look everywhere. You can find things anywhere. Listen to lots of good music, things that you wouldn't normally listen to. Just broaden your horizons. And yeah, stay awesome, possum. I thank you all for watching. I wish you good luck with your mixes, with your projects, with your synthesis, with your sampling. And yeah, it was great talking to you guys. Bye for now.